Are we supposed to be with just one person forever and ever and ever? Can we actually love more than one person at the same time? Wait, can we carry on healthy relationships with one or more partner at the same time? What's open relationships and how does it work? Who's happier, a monogamous couple or poly? So many questions, so much to uncover in this new world. Is it a trend or your last resort to save your marriage? This and so much more we cover. Listen to a man's perspective and a woman's on the same subject. Do they have the same experience, same perspective? And what does intimacy have anything to do with open relationships? Come with me on this scenic ride on the healing train. I'm Rania, your host, relationship coach, speaker, author, practicing energy healing modalities. I bring to you these discussions so we can heal, become empowered, and grow together. This content contains mature subject matters. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. To work with me, you can find me on www.r2rcoaching.ca. Want to be a guest on the show? Send an email to guest@healingtrain.ca. Welcome, Mark, to the show.
Thank you, Rania. Happy to be here.
Mark, if you don't mind, just briefly talk about who you are and we'll take it from there.
Okay, I am a mid-40s Canadian who has been living somewhat of an alternate style of relationships, and I work a lot, and I'm just excited to share my experiences and share my ideas about what this world is about.
And we're going to get right into this very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about monogamy, open relationships, modern sex, and everything else that comes with that. Are we built for one partner, Mark, do you think?
I don't believe we are. There's so much for people to expect to get everything that they want to get from one person, and I feel like that's the same with monogamy or non-monogamy. Everybody has friends that they get more stuff from, and for people with sexual partners, everyone has different tastes. It's really, really difficult to find one partner that will, you know, tick off every one of those boxes that you're looking for in a sexual relationship.
I also want to add that I feel that depending on the phase that we are in our lives, what we need is different and what we want to experiment with is different. For example, when we're in our teens, just, getting to be familiar with this whole thing, and then 20s, and then 30s, 40s, 50s, and going up. I mean, what do you think about the age factor?
That's a good point. So I think I've heard once or a few times, don't quote me on this, but that how males hit their sexual peak at the age of 18 and women, it's more around the age of 35 or 40. And you notice it. Many women later in life, I say later in life, but I'm talking about like in their 30s and 40s, that's when they start really awakening what it is they want to experience. And when they're younger, there's so many things that inhibit their life. They think that they can't do all the taboo things, or there's so much that they don't want to do. And then when they hit their 40s, they just say, screw it. I'm going to do what I want to do. Whereas males generally go through a lot of that in their minds, at least, maybe not experiences, but they have it in their minds. And as they get older, their libido goes down, their um, excitement goes down, and that's when most women are looking for more of it. And that's where the multiple partners comes in, that they have the ability to find someone to just do that, fulfill that one need that they have. They might have an amazing relationship, with their spouse or their partner, but the sexual urges just aren't being fulfilled because they've hit a totally different style. It's not the same. What worked when they were 20 doesn't work anymore when they're 40.
That's a very good point that you're mentioning, and I believe this is not something that we are taught or it gets talked about often. And I think it's very important that women do understand that the expectations that they have going into a relationship when they decide to get married at somewhere in their 20s, it's not going to always be the same. They themselves aren't going to feel the same. And I also believe men don't know what to expect again because of the lack of education and the lack of knowledge. It's almost like it's a trial and error. Everyone has to try it themselves and be in it, go through the process to finally understand what's really happening. But the problem, Mark, what happens is that people shut down, right? They end up in sexless marriages and long-term relationships, and they end up either breaking up or they end up having affairs. And that's where open relationship comes in. I want us to discuss about that. Okay, you have a little bit of experience with that, and I want you to shed some light from your personal experience and other people that you've spoken to about this idea. Like, what's the deal with open relationship? What does it really mean?
It means that you can have a meaningful, um, usually romantic relationship with multiple people. And I have had that a few times, and it can be extremely fulfilling. It can be exhausting, but it can be extremely fulfilling. So you have multiple partners and they all have different interests, and some of them, your interests align differently with each partner. And not that you want to be, end a relationship with the one partner to be with the other, because there's still lots of great qualities from that first partner. It sounds greedy, and in a way it kind of is, but it's also we're being taught to live our life authentically now and to not settle. So why would someone want to settle to be in a marriage when they're not having sex, they're not feeling the happiness? One person's usually resenting the other person. Whereas if you have this understanding that you both have a very happy marriage together, but you can still each go out and explore and find other people that find different parts. And it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be sex. Yeah, one person could hate the outdoors and the other loves it, and they find a partner that always wants to go hiking. So every weekend they'll spend 4 hours hiking with their other partner and just absolutely enjoy it. They might go on a weekend away with their other partner and spend the entire time outside. So it it encompasses everything with that, where nobody's needs are going unmet. Everyone can find their needs from other people if need be, but you still have the main stable relationship at home for the style of polyamorous that I practice. Some people are non-hierarchical and they don't have that one person at home, but that's not the way that I did it. So it was good. That's what I think it is. It's about meeting your needs and not settling to not being 85 years old on your deathbed and have regrets of things that you wish you would have done.
Hmm. Sounds like having the best of both worlds or more than one world, pun intended. It's I'm wondering if this can save marriages. I really am. I wonder if this is an answer. I mean, I'm not encouraging people to do this, okay? Everybody, I'm not encouraging this. We're discussing it. We're putting it on the table. We're saying, hey, there are people out there doing it right now. And I'm just wondering, can it really save a marriage? What do you think, Mark?
There's a slight possibility, but generally, open relationships, open marriages are best to be entered with an already fairly strong marriage. Otherwise, the any cracks that you might have in a relationship will be further widened usually, especially if one person finds a partner right away and the other person is having a difficult time. Any of your listeners who have been out in the dating world in the last 5 or 10 years knows that it's not easy to date. Now imagine your pool shrinking so much smaller because now you're only looking for other people that are willing to, enter into an open relationship. So it can be very difficult finding someone that is a good match for you and is also in the same mindset. Um, so there can be people really have to have their heads on right, because if one person finds that other partner and the other person is having a difficult time, yeah, resentment definitely does start to brew. I know this unfortunately from experience.
Mm.
And so it's lots of communication, lots of talking. But yes, I think it can save a marriage, but not a marriage that's already too far gone. So when I say that it can save a marriage, it can save where a marriage might end up going if things don't change. But you have to kind of notice that early on as the little issues start in a marriage and think, okay, this is what we should do. And that's where education comes in. That's where people listening to podcasts like yours to understand this stuff when it's just starting, not when they're too far gone.
Mm. Well, I'm on that same subject before I move on to the next question that is like itching on my mind to ask. I'm wondering if the idea of exploring open relationships is almost, okay, almost on the same line as going to counseling or therapy. It's like just an approach. You can go to therapy as a couple if you're experiencing issues in your relationship, in your marriage, and you've drifted apart. Obviously, there's some distance, there's an issue of some sort. And some people go to counseling or therapy and try to work it out through talking about it. But sometimes you need to do more than just talk and express your feelings. Communication is 100% necessary for any relationship to be successful. But if you were to say, okay, well, why don't we try this, right? This approach and see how it feels. And then come back to the table and say, okay, well, no, it's not working. Then let's just not do that. I'm wondering, what do you think? Can we put it on the same line as therapy and counseling, or that's just gone too far now?
Well, if you do it, it's definitely going to spark conversations. You're going to talk a lot about it. So even at that, just starting the conversation to talk about things is very therapeutic. So if you decide to open up your marriage and you each start going out on some dates, there's no way you won't come home and want to talk about stuff because both of you are going to have a lot of feelings and you're going to need to get those out. So it would work very much that way for therapy. Um, the try it and then if it's not working out, just stop approach. That's very difficult to do because once you open up your marriage to other partners, and if you start dating someone roughly and you date them for 4 or 5 months, and then you and your original partner decide, okay, this isn't for us. Like we've decided that we want to, put us first. You're affecting another human being now, someone who has developed romantic feelings for their half of that partner, and your decision is now affecting their life and their feelings. And um, that's something a lot of people kind of miss and don't think about, that it's more than just the one couple. Once you've opened that up, these are real human beings that you're going out and dating, and they have feelings and they have lives, and once you open it up that much, then it starts getting it's a lot to think about. There's a lot of moving parts. So it's not something to very casually, okay, let's try it. And then if we don't like it in 6 months, then we'll stop because you're affecting other people's lives, possibly causing them great pain and distress by doing that.
I'm so glad that you went right into the next point I was going to talk about, which is the feelings. Like, that's perfect. You just set it up for me. I wanted to talk about the ability for a couple to be that open-minded, that mature, that like I don't even know what the right word to say here, to just have that possibility that once upon a time we were telling each other I love yous, looking in each other's eyes and having these romantic moments, and of course sex comes with it. And then to give the okay to open it up and just go out and have fun with other people just so we can explore all the things that we're not getting from the current relationship. It's opening up the risk that either or both end up falling deeper in love with that other person that they're just exploring. Okay, I mean, we're not just talking about one, like, we're talking being polyamorous, so there could be more than one. But what if, we're just hypothetical here. It's that you're opening it up and then you end up falling in love with that person that ends up giving you, providing you with the things that you've been missing in this relationship. And then now you come back and you say, I want to end this. And I've found something else that makes me happy. And I guess that's the feelings you were talking about a little earlier. And I think I'm making the point clear, right? Like that's the risk people are taking when they are opening up their relationship, especially when it's a marriage with children. And there's that chance of it all falling apart. Now, I'm wondering, this open relationship system that we are now using, is it just delaying the inevitable? Is it just delaying the breakup of this marriage anyway, but we're just kind of like moving on slowly and then finding someone else to kind of replace the person? And then when we're really ready, then okay, bye. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, so that is a good possibility. In my personal experience, I don't believe it was that. My marriage was really great until we opened it up. Um, which I'd like to point out wasn't my idea. It was my wife's idea. But um, but then it caused issues, and we inevitably ended because of the feelings that we had. She wanted to do it. I was reluctant. I finally agreed, and this is where the um, it is easier for a man in the poly world because men, good men. It is easier for good men in the poly world because men control relationships, women control sex, if that makes any
I love
sense, right? So my wife at the time on Wednesday night, sorry, on Wednesday night, if she was looking for something to do on the weekend, she could find 1,000 men that would have sex with her. But to find one man that wanted to talk about feelings and share things was next to impossible. Whereas I found someone quite quickly who I started dating with, and that's where this resentment ran in, and we didn't handle it very well. We thought we did. We went to therapy. We tried to work through it, but it didn't happen. And she, yeah, was all worried that I was going to leave her for this other woman because I had such strong feelings for her. Fast forward 2.5 years, and my wife left me for the man she was dating at the time. So she's the one that actually did that. But it is tough because everyone gets that grass is greener syndrome where you start dating someone new, everything's fun, everything's exciting, everything's great. And then you have your boring partner of 25 years that's still at home and you know all of their little quirks and the little things that irritate you, but none of those things happen with your new partner because it's exciting and fun and it's fresh and you're in the honeymoon stage. And that is a very, very, very dangerous thing that happens often in open relationships. People jump from their current relationship to the new one because they feel that that person is everything they wanted. And then 2 years later, nope, that new person's not that person either, right? Because that honeymoon stage ends. So you have to get through that. And I will admit, I was at that in around the first year where my other partner, I felt just matched my needs so much more than my wife's. My wife, wives. I said that as if it was plural. No, than my wife. um, so, but I was smart enough not to succumb to that, not to end my marriage because I knew that yes, things were great with this other partner, but I only saw them once a week maybe. So sure, I'm only spending 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. Um, and her and I never had to worry about, you know, doing laundry or, someone someone leaving their socks on the floor or having to shovel the driveway or who's going to cut the grass. Like we would just go and do all the fun things all the time. And then I would go home, and then my wife and I would have to do all the menial tasks of, running a home. So that is something that happens. People do end their current relationships for the new one, thinking that this person is giving them everything they want. And sometimes that is the case, but often it's that grass is greener syndrome where they think it looks better and it does for a short time, but in the long run, that's not really what's happening.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say the grass is always greener on the other side, and you just explained it beautifully in what you said. Are you enjoying your journey on the healing train? I hope you are, just as much as I am loving this conversation and every conversation with every guest. We are talking about sex, relationships, becoming empowered, and yes, healing too. We need to heal the old narrative around our relationship with sex, pleasure, and our bodies. A lot of work goes into these episodes, and I would love for more people to find this. If you felt how powerful my message is, support this channel, this platform, wherever you are tuning from. Give some love, comment, and share it. It only takes a few seconds to help this show and help me reach more people. Thank you. I'm really glad that we are talking about this. I really am, because I want people to understand that it's not as simple as, okay, let's just open the relationship. Everybody's doing it right now. It's not a trend. Hey, let's just go with it. We're talking about feelings. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about years of being together. We're talking about the reality. We're talking about remembering why you got together in the first place and decided to build a family together. Life happened, you experienced things that maybe disconnected you. So instead of opening up the relationship, instead of just using that as, the next solution, try to work on your marriage first and try to understand that you craving that honeymoon phase that you once had. I think every relationship goes through it, Mark. Doesn't matter whether you actually are a couple who end up getting married and having children and build a family, or just long-term cohabiting for years and years and years. The sexual relationship changes along the relationship itself, because it goes through different phases. The same way how I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, what we want is different as individuals, right? When we're in our teenage 20s, 30s, 40s, and onward. The same thing with the relationship. It goes through the phases. So there's that honeymoon phase. It always is, right? And then reality hits where it's like, okay, this is real life now. We're dealing with the laundry, with the cooking, with the responsibilities. If there are kids, it becomes all about the kids and the activities. And you're running here, chauffeuring from one to the next, and birthdays and Christmas and vacations. And it's a cycle. Years pass by. And then you're like, that's not what I thought marriage was going to be about. That's not what I thought it would be like. What happened to my connection with my partner? Especially if your sex life just goes woo, right? It makes you start wondering and thinking, and sometimes people start to blame themselves, or they start pointing the finger and blame the other person. Usually is the latter. It's pointing the finger and saying, you're not doing, you're not saying, you, right? The blaming. Very rare that people say, oh, what's wrong with me? What am I not doing? That's actually the self-reflection that people need to do within themselves before they just looking for a short solution that may actually end up destroying what you have and looking at the grass greener on the other side. I just love that we are talking about that. But since we are talking about the monogamy and polyamorous, there are people who are doing that right now, and I'm not disrespecting them or respecting them, nothing. It's just I'm neutral. I am just bringing it to the table. So I want to just bring this up by you knowing, having this experience. Who do you think is happier?
Oh, that I'm going to say that's an individual thing. Each person has their own level of happiness. Short term, I think polyamorous people are happy because they're excited and having fun, and it seems like everything's great. And I had a lot of fun. It was awesome. Um, but it also caused a lot of issues, and in the long run, didn't work out so well. As I said, my marriage ended. I have a new partner that I'm dating now. I'm monogamous with this new partner, and yeah, that's the way it's going to stay with this partner, and hopefully, I stay with this partner for a while. But because it can be very, as I said, exhausting. The good times are really good, but the bad times are really bad. And just trying to think when you're making decisions of what you're doing in life, anyone who's with a partner, kind of takes in their partner's feelings or concerns. They should anyway, when they're making a big decision, whether it's a job, change of jobs, or whatever. Now imagine that you're taking two people's feelings into consideration when you're making any sort of a big life decision, because now you have two of them. And one of them says, yeah, go for it. And the other one says, oh no, I think that's a terrible idea. Well, now you have to try to figure out which way do you go. And if you do one, then the other one's going to be upset about it. And it's constantly worrying about other people's feelings, which yeah, gets very tiring. Monogamy, if your relationship is good, it's just you just have one person that you're worried about. That's your person. They're there for you. They're your ride or die, the person that you go and talk to all the time. And that can be a very, very happy life. It is a very happy life. Many people do it. But I'd have a hard time saying which one is happier. It really depends on where they are in life. But right now, I'm happier being monogamous. So, but 3 years ago, I would have said I was happier being polyamorous. So,
This is a very honest answer, and that's exactly what I want people to see, that we're not being against something just for the hell of it. And this is not even anywhere near close what our cultural, societal, religious beliefs are. That's all on the side right now because we know where that stands. We're just talking about life. Just right now, as we are living it, what we feel as human beings going through this experience, regardless of what's accepted and what's not accepted. So, what I want to say is the person that's suggesting, hey, let's open it up, be careful what you ask for, right? Don't go into this expecting that it's gonna go the way you're planning, or that exactly what we discussed earlier is like, hey, let's try it and then come back, because then it becomes very complicated. There's other people involved, there's feelings, and you can't erase what you do. You can't erase what you say. What's said is said. If you've said to someone, I'm not happy 100% in our relationship and I want to try to open it up, you've already said it, right? You can't take it back. But I would say for those couples who are exploring it, know what you're getting into, understand the risks that are involved. And as Mark said, depending on the situation, it's not a guaranteed happiness. It's not a guaranteed fix. It's not on the same level as therapy and counseling. It's okay, it's something you can try, but you can't just try, right? Once you open it up, you've opened it up. There's a can of worms that you can't put back in there. And I'm so glad that we're talking about that. But Mark, I mean, in a situation like this where the couple's sex life has diminished in some form, right? Because of whatever, right? Are there any suggestions or tips that you may share? And it doesn't have to even be something you experimented with, but something you've heard about, read, heard from your friends, that they can do to spice up their love life, their sex life, or to bring the connection back together. And I want to ask you because it's from a male perspective. I usually have women on my show, and I ask women to tell me about what they think could work from a woman perspective. But now I want to talk about from a man perspective. What does a man need, or what would make him excited again? What is he looking for from his partner right now that he's struggling to reconnect with on the sexual level?
men go through phases. When they're younger, it is the quote unquote porn star phase where they think that they have to do all these great things, and um it's they well, more men, I think more men watch porn when they're younger. I think more women watch porn when they're older. Um so but they see these guys that go for hours and hours and hours, and no man can really do that usually. Um, it is learning more about what the woman wants. It is learning more about how to please her and make her want to have sex more often. And most often for men, that has absolutely nothing to do with what's between their legs in order to make a woman happy. So just ignore that. And we've had these conversations with people before where we've said, when you get in with your wife, leave your underwear on for the first hour and then go. And some men are just like, well, what would I do? Well, if you don't know what you would do in that situation, that's your problem. Do some research. Um, so men, as they get older, I think, like things softer, and women are starting to awaken sexually and they want things, you know,
Harder,
a little raunchy, maybe
pun
harder,
intended.
raunchier,
Harder.
right? Hard.
Hey, we are having sex talk, so it's okay.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, men, that's what I think it is. Men are just they want different things now as they get older. It's not all about the porn star sex anymore. And uh I know with my wife and I, when we first ever started thinking about this, we would talk about it while having sex. We would try to talk about different scenarios of another person, joining us. And we did that for a couple of years before we ever actually did anything about it. And that was our cue that, yeah, this is working because we both were very turned on about it. And some people, it can just stay a fantasy just talking about it, just having those fantasy role plays and not actually ever be with anybody else, but just talking about it. And speak up. Men need to speak up more. There was times where I know that my wife would suggest something or my girlfriend would suggest something, and I would say, "Really? Like, you're into that?" It's like, yeah, I've thought this has been so hot for like 5 years. It's like, oh my goodness, why didn't you say something? Right. But we think, oh no, guys are dirty. We can't say that. Women want to have like a bed of roses and flowers and perfume, and that's all they're into. But that's not all they're into. That's not all they're into at all. So yeah, suggest it tastefully, but suggest it. And most men would be surprised about how many things that their female partners would say, absolutely, yes, let's give that a whirl. There's a book like 15 years ago that came out that everyone said was saving their marriages and stuff. And that was, I said back then, well, the only reason this is saving their marriages is because the women that are reading it are actually lowering their inhibitions and having sex with their spouses. And now they're saving their marriage. They could have just done that without a book telling them that they had to do that, right? But
I wonder what book
everyone,
that is.
yeah, I know, right?
Maybe I read
So
it. Hmm.
probably, but yeah, just speak up. Everyone should just talk and say what they need, what they want, and whoever they're saying that to, um, I mean, unless it's something illegal, obviously, but no judgment. Don't judge people on their kinks because everyone's got different kinks and everyone's got different wants. And if it's not your kink, flat out say it. Actually, I don't really think I'd like that. Okay, no problem. Don't do it. But if someone suggests it, you never know. You might be into it too. So
What I'm hearing from you, Mark, is communication again. So we've talked about communication from a perspective of working your relationship out, but expressing your needs and what you want to try out or any fantasies you have together is a key to having a wonderful sex life in whether it be you've been married for years and lost a connection, I want to bring some spiciness back, or even at the beginning of a relationship, the best thing is to explore, experiment, and express. You said it so beautifully, and then thank you, thank you, thank you for saying this. Women, no shame. There's nothing to be shamed about of what you want to try out with your man or with your partner or whatever. Just express it. If you're thinking it, say it. Don't hold it in. And don't deny yourself the pleasure that you could be having if you would just allow yourself to say it. He's not gonna judge you. He's gonna love you even more, and it's gonna be wild. And if he does, then come talk to me, okay? Because I'll have a chat with him, okay? Because he's crazy if he says, "What are you talking about?" I love that. I love that. So I guess to wrap this up, Mark, I mean, choice of monogamy versus being polyamorous, open relationship, trying out the swinging thing, it's all a personal choice. It's all what suits you as a couple. Don't just follow a trend or because someone else is doing it and you want to try it too. Okay, fine. If you feel curiosity, that's one thing. But don't just do it because that's what everyone else is doing it, right? And when I say doing it, I'm talking about being an open relationship. Okay, let me be clear. But I
Yeah,
mean,
so if I can just say something on that, that is
yeah.
perfect. Because so my wife and I started as swingers, and we were swingers for about 5 years, and life was great. And we had a social life again because we have 4 kids, so we spent a lot of time being mom and dad. And then all of a sudden, we got back to this spot where we could be husband and wife again because our kids were older. We were able to get babysitters. We were able to go out, and we had a social life again. And swinging was great, but many people that we knew in the swinging community were also polyamorous, and that's what happened. This trend that you're saying, we followed that trend, and we were told not to by some of our close friends who were also swingers, but they weren't delving into that, and they said, no, I think that there might be issues, but we didn't listen. We knew better. But yeah, so we followed a trend, and um had we not done that, had we just stayed swingers, I think our marriage would have stayed good, but we couldn't withstand that loving multiple people thing. And then I mean, it might have caused a lot of more issues that were deeper that we just ignored before. But then once irritation started setting in between the two of us, then you start noticing these other things. But anyway, that's a topic with my therapist. We won't talk about that.
But yeah, no, totally. I'm glad
But
that you
yes,
mentioned that. Yeah.
yeah, we followed the trend, and you're right. You have to have the right mindset, and you have to do research if you decide you're going to be polyamorous. Do research before, and both yes. And I would suggest people go to 2 or 3 couples therapy sessions before they even go on that first date with someone else. Get their mind right and make sure they know what pitfalls, and look for a open relationship focused couples therapist because they do exist, and that's important. Not someone that's just aware of it. I was lucky. I found a therapist who lives it, so they could use personal experience. Um, but yeah, do the research before you do it.
These are great tips. Thank you, Mark. From our own personal experiences, we can talk. I mean, okay, I didn't do that open relationship thing. Let me just make that clear. I didn't. But I mean, again, it's a personal choice and depending on what happened in your life, right? Like everyone has a different path in their life. I just was in different relationships. They're all monogamous. At the end of the day, we all go through challenges in our relationships. Sometimes it could be related to sex itself that you're no longer connected. And sometimes there are other things that make the relationship fall apart. And sometimes it's that sex that holds it together. And the relationship itself is not the right one. So again, whatever your dynamic is, just be honest. Be honest with yourself first. Be honest with yourself first. Self-reflect. Take some time on your own. Maybe go to therapy on your own and figure out what's within you that's making you unhappy. It could be something totally unrelated to your partner, and your relationship or marriage can be saved if you work on you. Sometimes that's all it takes. And sometimes it is a lack of communication between the couple, and sometimes it is women being raised with a certain conditioning that, ooh, you're not supposed to do that, and that's bad, and it's only for men, and it's not for women, and the shame and the guilt and all that lovely salad that we talk about and I talk about on the show and on other episodes on this series. So please do make sure you are following my channel and listening to the other perspectives that I discuss on this show. So to wrap this up, Mark, if you have any final words, the floor is yours, and we're complete.
I would say that just everyone do what you think feels good for you. Um, Live your life authentically. Don't settle, but also do all the research and just be happy. Just be happy. That's it. And thank you very much for having me on here. This was fun to talk about. I talk all the time. I'm very open about my lifestyle that I lived, but it's fun to try to reach a little bit more of an audience and tell people about my ups and downs and the experience that I have, which, like you said, definitely not an expert, but have experienced a lot in the open relationship world and have lots of friends and still a great community. I said that I'm monogamous now, but I'm still very involved with the community of people. And yeah, it was nice to be on here. Thank you very much, Rania.
Thank you, Mark.